You're listening to Sister Stargazers, celestial and terrestrial observations and advice from two real-life sisters.
Welcome, fellow stargazers. Your sisters are in the house. Hi, Jude.
Hi, Sarah. How are you?
I'm great. Are you ready for episode 64?
I am ready.
Where we leave November behind us. It's Sunday, November 27th, roughly through Saturday, December 3rd. A busy week. Where should we start?
I just want to hope everyone had a nice holiday, Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And there's so much to be grateful for as we move into the wintry season here. And this is going to be a busy week, this November 27th through December 3rd, because Mercury, our planet of communication, is in Sagittarius, which is the sign of broader horizons.
Right.
It wants to understand. It seeks the truth. Mercury in Sagittarius seeks the truth, which is also related to the card you drew, which is justice, right? And then Venus, who represents money, finances, love, is also making some quirky aspects to the outer planets, as well as some squares and oppositions. So there's some, personally, we could say that there might be miscommunications around love, around misunderstandings, maybe to do with money, finances, but also interpersonally.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a really good week to listen and not so much do anything.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, it's not too bad. We start the week on Sunday, November 27th, with the moon in Capricorn, conjunct our good friend Pluto in Capricorn. So the moon is our feeling nature, and conjuncting Pluto, it kind of tends to bring things up from the depths. So personally, you might be feeling strong emotions around any particular issue. It doesn't matter. It's just there's going to be a lot of strong feeling there. On the same day, Mercury quincunx Uranus. So that quincunx is like, Mercury's in Sagittarius. Uranus is over in Taurus. It's fire to earth. It's like a little non-alignment. It's kind of it's kind of like the cog isn't fitting into the gear.
Yep.
So there's a lot of ideas, but there's not a way to ground them.
Okay.
Yeah. And so Mercury wants to think outside of the box and wants to, is getting ahead of itself, basically, because Uranus is out of sync with it.
Okay.
So there might be, you might have brilliant ideas, but you're not in sync with the time. So just kind of line them up, put them in a little list and revisit them at some future point. On Monday, the 28th, Mars is going to trine Saturn. So we really want to pay attention to our level of energy. Mars is in Gemini. It's retrograde. It's also squaring Neptune. It just made an exact square to Neptune in the previous week. So it's still within orb. Mars in Gemini is also got a lot of ideas, but because it's retrograde, it's like revisiting ideas that it already had. And because the square to Neptune is like, there's not a clear signal, like it's not getting all the information. The information is coming in like through the fog, through the cloud, right?
Yep.
So Mars trine Saturn is wanting to take action and be all, plan oriented and getting the ball rolling and future thinking. But Mars is not in a position to move anything. This is an air trine, Mars and Gemini, to an air Saturn. So it's all about idea generation. Again, not a good time to take action, a really good time to think about things, maybe plot things out.
Interesting.
There also can be restriction around discipline or control. There might be urges, like Saturn might be making attempts to control Mars.
Okay.
The ideas that are coming up, Saturn's got a reason why they can't happen. Oh, you can't do that. Whack-a-mole, get down in your, go back down in your hole. Mars pops up, go back down in your hole. It's a trine. So there's like a regenerative energy to it. There's like a lot of air. So a lot of discussion, but Saturn might be very much a control freak on that in Aquarius.
Very good.
On the same day, it's very active. So Mercury quincunx Uranus on Sunday, Venus quincunx Uranus on Monday.
Okay.
So Venus and Mercury are running together. They were together at the new moon last week with the sun. And now they're trotting off ahead of the sun into Sagittarius. So Venus, quincunx Uranus, a lot of ideas. Venus is going after the truth, the true love, right?
Yep.
Quincunx Uranus is like, not so fast,
Right. Yep.
But there might be an exciting person or a new creative project that suddenly comes up, but there also might be a little bit of tension around it because, everything seems a little unpredictable and maybe you don't know the real motives of the project or the person. So you want to just be open and, excited, but also reserved. The moon is going to be in Aquarius on Monday the 28th, and it sextiles Venus. So this again kind of ups the ante for your emotions, with Venus involved in that sextile.
Yep.
So the moon in Aquarius, Venus in Sagittarius, air fuels fire. Mm-hmm. Even though Venus is quincunx Uranus, which is kind of like, again, that gear that's not quite meshing, there's still this kind of like grace and excitement and fun element to whatever interchange on a personal level you might have. And then the moon sextiles Mercury. So again, this idea of the flow, the easy flow of expression with the moon up there in Aquarius sextiling Mercury with Venus down in Sagittarius, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So there's a lot of lightness around Monday the 28th. On Tuesday, the moon is still in Aquarius. It makes a conjunction to Saturn. So all of that lightness kind of like poof, settles on Tuesday, the 29th. And it's, Saturn just has that effect on everything that comes in contact with it. It's like a wet blanket. Mercury opposes Mars. And this is significant because 2 days away, Venus opposes Mars. So Mercury opposes Mars. Mars is over across the zodiac in Gemini, going backwards. It's retrograding. So there's this sense of Mercury opposing Mars is impulsive, but it wants to like speed up, but it's not sure why. It wants to get going, and it can cause trouble, right? It can be irritating. It can also be mechanical breakdowns, on the physical level. But I would say because Mercury's in a fire sign and Mars is in an air sign, Gemini opposing Mercury in Sagittarius, this might be more about ideas that you are kind of duking it out with or trying to find a reason for or make sense of.
Yep, got it.
Wednesday, the moon's in Pisces, making a square back to the sun in Sagittarius. So this is the first quarter moon. It's the first place of the moon after the new moon, right? So this is a point where the moon is a quarter of the way through its monthly lunation, where it gets back to meet the sun in its new moon phase. So we're at a point with this first quarter moon where you come to a kind of a roadblock where anything that you seeded at the time of the new moon the week before may come up again. So there may be an echo back to that time at the new moon, which was a very potent new moon at 1 degree Sag. Very future oriented, wants to take on the world, incredibly enthusiastic, right? And now we're getting to this first quarter phase, which is testing us to see how enthusiastic we really are.
And here's the work you need to do.
Exactly. How much of this is real? How much is it doable? Yeah. The moon is all, touchy-feely and Pisces and dreamy. Yeah. And the sun in Sagittarius is saying, well, how can we make it real?
Exactly, yeah.
What has to happen? Yeah. Where's the logic model to figure this out? What are the steps? Yeah. December 1st, now Venus is opposing Mars. So this is like, Venus in Sagittarius, forward-thinking, loving, the fire, the enthusiasm, and Mars over in Gemini being the wet blanket, kind of like retrograde. I know I called Saturn the wet blanket, but Mars in Gemini he's not clear because he's retrograde. Yeah. Not only that, he's what is called out of bounds. So he's orbiting in a greater than 23 degree incline to the ecliptic. So he's really kind of orbiting in a shelf that's out of a typical orbit, which makes him very erratic, even more erratic and somewhat irrational.
Yeah, so, unpredictable.
Yes. So he's going to be out of bounds for months going into the new year. Yeah. So Mars out of bounds is kind of like the bully, like picking fights where there's nothing there. And also when he's squaring Neptune, it's like there's these mirages. You can't tell what is real and what is not real. Things are not logically making sense. There's missing information.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never heard that term, out of bounds.
Out of bounds, yeah. No, and Steve Nelson used to talk about that a lot with his astrology, planets out of bounds, yeah.
So any planet could go out of bounds?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Interesting.
It's when they orbit at a greater than 23-degree angle.
Wow, okay. And then it corrects itself at some point?
Yeah, it all comes back in line, but as it's out of bounds, as it's out of its shelf, right?
Yeah.
It tends to be erratic and unpredictable.
Oh, it makes perfect sense. Yeah, sure. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, keep going. You were
really Venus opposing Mars is just this tension. And you pulled the Two of Cups.
The Two of Cups, which are two figures, each holding a cup. And it's sort of like, are they going to exchange cups? Are they going to show each other what's in the cups? Are they going to talk about the cups? Well, and there's a winged lion head above the two figures and a caduceus below the lion, which, I don't know, speaks to Mercury maybe, but yeah, could be Venus and Mars tension, or like who's going to bring what to the table. I don't know. And you had also mentioned that it's a 2 card, and another 2 card came up, which was the 11 card, which is justice. 11, 1 and 1 is 2. So that was interesting that we had these duality cards come up.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Yeah. And what is right? Justice is about what is fair, what is right, what is just. It's also the card of Libra, the diplomat. It's the card of balance, right?
Yeah.
The suggestion there is that there might be some issues that are polarizing, that are not just about woman-man, personal, interpersonal relationship kinds of issues, but there might be issues that come up that are very polarizing in terms of what is the right way?
Yeah.
What is the truth? Because Venus is in Sagittarius, Mars is in Gemini. They're both information-seeking signs.
Yeah.
But there's this element where Sagittarius is the higher mind. Gemini is not so much the lower mind, but the day-to-day.
Yeah.
And Sagittarius wants to think big. Gemini wants to think day to day. So there's that polarity, but then you've got Mars in Gemini and Venus in Sagittarius. So there's this kind of push-pull thing that is going on that could involve what is known, what is unknown, what is true, what is not true. And I'm thinking, because Venus is opposing Mars, at some point, not maybe in this week, but early next week, and maybe coming up beyond just Saturday where we end, Venus will also then be making a square to Neptune.
Very interesting.
Because Mars is making a square to Neptune. He made a square to Neptune last week. So now Venus has moved into being the opposite Mars. So Venus will be making a square to Neptune at some point very soon, which will be another what is real, what is not real, what is an illusion, what is fantasy.
And if they're traveling together, Mercury's going to square Neptune then as well.
Yeah, that happens on the 1st.
Aha, okay. Interesting.
We are on the 1st now with Venus opposing Mars. The moon squares Mars and Venus.
Okay.
So the moon has moved into Pisces, right? It's made a square to the sun in Sagittarius, questioning our motives, maybe our will to go forward. Now the moon is in Pisces and is making a square back to Mars and a square to Venus. So the moon is emphasizing that Venus-Mars opposition. On the same day, December 1.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of tension that comes with that.
Yeah.
And the moon is holding the kind of the middle ground up there near to Neptune. It's not quite at Neptune yet, but the same day we have Mercury square Neptune. So Mercury's just a little bit ahead of Venus.
Yeah.
And it's making a square to Neptune. So Neptune's getting a lot of hits this week, you know, and especially carrying over from the previous week, Mars square Neptune.
Okay.
It's not clear. There's missing information. But what's becoming increasingly clear is that we don't know what we don't know.
There you go. Yep. Yep.
And that's Mercury square Neptune.
Okay.
Venus will also on the same day make a sextile to Saturn in Aquarius.
My gosh. Okay.
Yeah. So this is Venus, very harmonious aspect to Saturn. Saturn is not, again, the best planet. It's great if you want to get work done.
Yes, it just has
be disciplined.
It just wants to play by the rules.
It's a task master.
Yes. Yeah.
Venus wants to have fun. A sextile is a great aspect. There's an easy flow, but it's inhibitions. It's the inhibitions of Saturn which preserve the stability. So,
right. Yep.
So Venus, even though she's in a sextile to Saturn, it's all about loyalty, duty, economy, diplomacy.
Yeah.
It's good judgment. This is the Justice card.
Yes.
I think that that's going to be really important, that whatever it is we know, we don't know, to really bring some inquiry to it.
Maybe some patience.
Due diligence.
Yeah. Thoughtfulness.
Yep. The moon will conjunct Jupiter on the same day, December 1.
My goodness.
I know. So that means also the moon is conjunct Neptune.
Okay. Yeah.
The moon will make a conjunction to Neptune in Pisces, and then it will make a conjunction to Jupiter.
Oh, that's right. We had mentioned that Jupiter and Neptune were sort of going to be...
They're in cahoots.
They're in cahoots right now, right. And we were mentioning, I think maybe it was last week or the week before, that if you can see Jupiter in the sky, then you're basically looking in the same direction where Neptune is to kind of harness that chi.
Okay, so Friday the 2nd is quiet.
Ooh, all right.
All caps and bold. I've written down, it's like, it's in a bold font with all cap lettering.
Well, it could be a good day just to process the amount of mental energy that was going on all week between hearing ideas and listening to ideas. And it's like, okay, a day to just let it process and let it settle.
Not getting into any arguments.
Oh, okay, great.
And then Saturday the 3rd, Neptune goes direct.
Okay.
Neptune stations direct. So this is going to help move the fog a little bit, clear the fog.
Okay. Sounds good.
It's a very active week. Just do more listening than talking.
Yep.
Just realize that we don't know what we don't know, and it's okay to just not know anything right now. It's okay to just hang back and wait for some information before we form a judgment or seek justice, and be really gentle, I think, with ourselves and with our partners and with anyone that we are considering to be partnering with.
That sounds fantastic. Good advice. Thanks, Jude. Thanks for walking us through the week.
Sarah.
Listeners, thank you. Thank you. And thanks for tuning in. You can always reach us via email at connect@sisterstargazers.com. You can still tune in on Monday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern to WMPG.org and call into our live half-hour astrology show on that station. And thank you for your support. We really love hearing from you, and we love doing this work. So thanks to all of you out there. And thanks, Jude, for the breakdown.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Thank you, Sarah, for the cards.
Have a wonderful, wonderful lay low week.
Take care, everybody. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Sister Stargazers. Let us know what worked for you this week. Find us on Facebook and post a comment at Sister Stargazers.